Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Freeze with the weekly live stream, and today we are going to talk a little bit about Megatronus Prime. I got him in playtest, got to mess around with him a little bit, and yes, I just want to show off some gameplay, talk a little bit about what's going on, particularly with the event. Just because, as most of you already know, the event did get pushed back. So I'll talk about my thoughts on that. And in addition to that, I want to continue on with some of the conversations I've been talking about um, bots that were good and bad from the content patch. So today I want to got a couple of air class bots that I want to take a look at. And yeah, all in all, should be a good time. So before we get into any of that, let's take a look at this week's newsletter. So this week's event is called High Stakes, and along um I swear that actually I saw it earlier. They had one named this before, but all right. And so it's week 5 of the saga. And I say, man, Grim Studios must have got paid because he said he just gave me $2. He said take the hat off. So you got bald freeze in the flesh. I gotta, I mean, gotta give you $2. You gotta go in there and just do your thing. But yeah, man. So let's see. So it's week 5. That it's been kind of a weird uh saga this go around. And I feel like, and I want to start off by saying, and I said this a little bit earlier in Discord, but I think that a lot of that with this particular saga just had to do with trying to see whether or not the primes are going to be ready. Obviously, they dropped that news on us 2 weeks ago, and now it had to be pushed back a little bit, which I'll talk about here in a bit. So, let's see what we get. So this weekend's going to wind up being a 10K. Some of the prizes you can get up to 40 warrior crystals. So they only drop warrior class characters, a war for Cybertron skin core, and up to 2.5k 4-star shards, 7.5k 3-star shards. You can get 4 of the 500k troop XP items, up to 350k spark, and 2 million of alloy and energon each. So it tells you what characters are included there. Your warrior class bots. And just has your tiers and everything. So all in all, pretty chill event. And your typical battle zones. And so they confirmed in the newsletter, they said that the primes will come next week. We'll talk about a little bit about how that came to be here in a little bit. But the key things they want you to know, everybody is starting from HQ8. You should be able to get a prime. It's going to be a campaign for it, like I explained last week. They'll allow you to get your prime lab. And I meant to actually upload some video of that campaign, so I'll probably do that in a separate video because I got it saved on my phone. But all in all, it wasn't too hard. The bots are pre-selected, and you know, it's it, it's not too difficult. So, and then they're each going to have their artifacts. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And all this stuff they're talking about here, we'll actually look at in some gameplay. So I'm not going to go over it too much. The saga schedule is set to return back to normal, um, starting next week. They say because they had a few changes to make, they can confirm that next week's event will also be individual with the community aspect. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. I don't know for sure what that's going to look like, but I can speak on what the idea was as of this morning. So we'll talk about that. Be sure to check out all your content creators, your official ones, myself, Soldier, and Sensory Kawaza, as well as CF. I seen a couple of those guys in the chat earlier, so be sure to give them a shout and be sure to watch their content as well. And make sure you check out some of the unofficial content creators because they have been cooking right now. So, a lot of those guys, if you got links and you want to share it, go ahead and share that in the chat as well. Alright, you never can tell when the team stream gonna pop up, so there's always that, and that's all we got for the news. Alright, so let's go look at the chat and do some shout outs. So let me blow this up a little bit because I got my contacts in, that always affects my short vision. Alright, let's see. So we got we got Grim at the first and the second spot on 2 accounts. Thanks for joining, Brody. Said he's excited to be here. He was hitting me up earlier on Discord saying he was excited. Um, we got the homie Twilight Tier, one of my good friends and members. Thanks for joining. We got the homie Chris Harmon, one of my good friends, moderators, one of my earliest members. Thanks for joining, buddy. And speak of the devil, we got Soul up here, fellow content creator, one of the OGs, and one of my members as well. Thanks for joining. We got the homie Blade 19, one of my good friends and members. Thanks for joining. As well as Sunstreak Kawaza, fellow content creator, and one of my new members as well. Thanks for joining, buddy. We got Big Blade 297, another one of my good friends and one of our moderators. So don't say anything too crazy. Thanks for joining, buddy. We got Michael Cooper with us again. Thanks for joining. All right, we got the homie Candy Man, one of my members as well. Thanks for joining, Brody. As well as Block Boy, one of my members as well. Thanks for joining, Block Boy. We got Andrew Stevenson. He says he just woke up, so he missed Waza, so he's gonna check me out and then check Waza out. Appreciate you for both. But thanks for joining again, buddy. And of course, you can see Grim Saint giving me $2 to take off my hat. So now I'm bald freeze is out. We got Big Joe with us again. Thanks for joining, Joe. As well as the homie RG. Thanks for joining again, RG. All right, we got DC, aka Deadlock. Thanks for joining. All right, we got Fox the Bomb, another one of my good friends, members, and moderators. Thanks for joining. We got Where Did You Go joining us again. Thanks for joining. Okay, and speaking of unofficial content creators, so Big Blade says on Monday he's going to be doing a video, and he's going to open the crystals that from winning on both of them. Lucky guy got one on mines and Waz's Maker crystals, and I know he's got some stuff he's looking forward to on that one. I won't spoil it, but make sure you check out his channel as well as some of the other guys. Twilight Tier been making a lot of good stuff, and a couple other guys been making a lot of good stuff. So make sure you check it out. Let's see. So RG said no third round of content creator meta maker crystals by the looks of things. No, not this go around. Um, the team did have some talks with Soldier and CF. They want to work something out for them in the future. I don't know if it's going to be meta maker crystal, but they they're gonna get something special going for you soon. So just be on the hold out. It's not gonna be for this month, but be on the lookout. All right. So let's see. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm gonna start off talking about what happened to the event. So let me switch over to. I got some graphics I want to share, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So first off, and this is not official yet, but this when I woke up this morning, I mean I had been up for a little bit. The discussion started up about what we could do for community totalizers. So this was the thought process as to what they wanted to look at for a community totalizer. Um, so just a chance to get some additional stuff. They were asking us what we thought about it, and honestly, the next thing that I'm about to show you kind of stole the show on that. So I don't know if we're going to be doing this or not um, with these exact numbers. So do me a favor, like before, let us confirm before you go send all of this out. But it is one of those things. This is what we were looking at early this morning. As a possible chance, and they got like a game council that's got a lot of content creators, alliance leaders, stuff like that in there, and that's where we were discussing this out. Here's the problem that we ran into, and let me see if I actually got pictures of this. Yeah, I do got pictures of this, so give me a moment, and what I'll do is I'll put a window capture for it up here. All right, so let me get rid of this for a second. So what we were looking at doing, so uh they wanted to have a pretty large event for this stuff. And here's the problem that I was having. So the event that they wanted to have would have looked like this. Um so and I'm going to break down what we're looking at. But they wanted to have an individual 125k, and instantly, your game council was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, like this is the same level of effort that you have to make for like a 5-star Titan." And so the rationale kind of became that with, getting the first prime, two things really. The first thing is they wanted to have a large rollout. They wanted to give a large rollout for the first of the primes to come out. So they said, hey, the event's got to be large. This is an end of saga event essentially. But my problem that I have is they wanted to roll this thing out tomorrow, and they wanted to roll this thing out tomorrow. And I was like, and they're asking about this. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning my time. All right, Big Joe said he gave some money to put the hat back on. Hey, is this how I'm gonna start getting paid now? Because I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. If I can just get paid just for being bald. But yeah, thanks for that, Big Joe. I said it's cold down here, man. I'm sitting right next to the AC vent, so I said I want to have my hat on. But as I look at this, and this is not, once again, this is not final. This is what we were discussing this morning. But when you look at this, and let me get the specific numbers on this thing, because the problem that I have with this, and it actually made me, I'm a pretty chill guy. It actually made me a little bit upset because when I think about doing 125k, some of the things that we looked at recently have been, a 5-star Titan. That's a 125k event, right? They originally, I believe, had it at 150k individual when they first started talking about it. Um, at one point we were talking about doing endurance. We were talking about doing 5 mil for endurance one time, and they actually came out with that event chart, and everybody got mad about that but they were gonna start putting in like they were gonna start putting in ranks, the majors and the generals and stuff like that. And I personally didn't really uh have a problem with that because we were going to get the ranks. Now the ranks have become so restricted. I mean, you haven't even seen them too often for pay. So for me, but 5 million point event, if you got 40 players, that breaks down into, everybody's going to have different scores, but your fair share would be, once again, 125K for those events like that. So when we look at stuff and see what we actually value for that level of effort, and I'm gonna scroll through this again, and I'm gonna read what it was we were talking about. So they were saying that it's 185 Megatronus Prime specific spark, which is, and we'll look at that in a little bit. That's what you got to use to actually kind of rank them up. And so they were saying 185 of it would be enough to give you rank fives. Now, if they give you the first five ranks for completing the event, then in turn, you are also going to, well, there's going to be a total of 10 ranks to start out. So, and they might add to them, they might not, who knows? It's going, if it's, they're doing primes, we could be up to 13 of these things. So, who knows? So they want to give you 50 leadership crystals, 2.5k 5-star shards, 200 of your premium combat chips, uh, 20k of your 3-star shards, 10k of the 4-star shards, 800k spark, 800k combiner spark. So for me, when I read this, yeah, there's gonna be some 5-star shards and stuff like that. But when I scroll through this, all I see is you're doing 125k for currency. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When you're talking about just getting currencies and maybe a couple of shards and stuff sprinkled in, that's not 125K's worth of work. I'm just going to be transparent with you. And so when I started talking about this stuff, one of the things that I was saying was that, everybody was comparing it to the Titan event. And I get that because the Titan event was 125K. But the talking point that I had is like, bro, it's currency. Like it's in-game currency that you're gonna do all that effort for, and we're not talking about having just guaranteed like combat shards and stuff. It's just like they kind of just throw everything in there together, and that's why I like it to be consistent with certain stuff. Because like spark you get in war, spark you get in every event, spark you get in a plethora of different ways. So 800k of spark is just not moving the needle for me, man. And like it's a lot of spark, but it's not combiner spark at my level, and I'm not a hater. I'm not the kind of person that's gonna say somebody doesn't need that. It's a lot of new players in the game, but ultimately, at the end of the day, this event ain't for them. It's for the guys that when you go make it 125k for completion. For me, that turns into one of those things. It's like, hey, this is targeted towards those who spend and those who complete large events. So, um, Combat Spark ranks, a couple people were saying just put different things in there and make something of value down there at the tail end. So then I started looking at, well, where are the intervals where they actually start doing Megatronus Prime Spark? So 25k, 37.5k, 50k, 62.5k, and the amounts start to go up, but 75k, you know, for you know, so for the same level of effort that you would use for endurance, then you would add in another 15k. With 100, you add in another 15k. So now we're starting to dibble and dabble into things that looked like they started to look like an endurance event plus, and then you get 100k for completing everything. I didn't like that. I expressed my displeasure with that. Now I didn't say as much as a lot of other people in that council, and the reason why I didn't is because I got uh, honestly kind of frustrated. But the team asked, well, how much do we typically spend on this event? And I was mad about that too because I was like, bro, you should know, like this has always been my argument about asking how much we spend on events, because everybody's answer is going to be different, because everybody plays different, everybody plays in different zones. And so what really pisses me off is when you get to a point where you saying, I've had people say, well, how much do you spend on endurance? And the answer, or the team asks how much somebody spends in endurance, and they be like, oh, I spend 100. And I'm like, you spend 100? Why? Like, that's a $40 event tops. You really could get away with it for like $20. So what I said to the team was, you should go back, you should go do the math on how much the bundles cost, how many battles it takes for each zone. You should, as a company, essentially do your homework and then balance it around that, because what tends to happen with these kind of events and these kind of things, because I mean, let's be honest with you, they're going to sell some of this Megatronus stuff, they're going to sell it in bundles, which I'm totally okay with it. But the problem is, and there's a lot of things that I feel like the team does well, but one of the things that I don't necessarily trust them with is to release content in a reasonable, and that's the key word, a reasonable amount of time for free to play. I say, I'm not gonna lie to you, they just flat out don't. So when I see an event like what I just showed you, what I'm saying is, yeah, do the 125K, and when we feel like it, we'll go make, when we feel like it, we'll go make something so it's available, other ways for it to be available, but we don't know when that is, and everybody's going to be so far ahead. You're probably going to wind up having another Prime out by then, and I think it just sets a bad precedent. So I wasn't happy about it. Um, that entire council, for the most part, I don't think I saw any positive comments. Now, I will say, the talking back and forth between that council and the team, that went great. They were responsive, they were listening to what we had to say, and ultimately made the decision to not have the event. I mean, chef's kiss for that. Like, I am glad that they made that decision, but we can't keep taking these steps backwards where we try to oversell stuff, because I guarantee you this is going to wind up being something that's going to be in bundles, and it's going to be a while for, I mean, for fuck's sake, we still waiting for free to play to get Tripticon, the first 5-star Titan that we got. So to get these things done, if we knew for sure, hey man, in 3 months we'll give you this guys this stuff, the free to play could just say, oh okay, I'm willing to wait that. Cool, gang. Like, I'm willing to wait that. But um, other priorities start to shift, and then the content doesn't come out. But the content's built, so it's not really any excuse for it not to come out. And that's my concern, and that's why I was like, we might as well not even give them that inch for them to take a mile, because it's just not practical at this point. So let me know what you think in the chat. I see the chat's already moving a lot, so I'm gonna assume people's already talking about it. So let's see what they're saying. So Blade 19 says, it's a hard pass for me from what I've seen of them. They're not worth it. Yeah, and with the first one, I imagine that the next primes are probably going to be probably even better. So I will say this. I'm glad that they have their own individual sparks, as well as a universal spark, just because I think that still allows you to hoard a little bit. I just don't know how often the universal spark are going to come out. So to your point, and I'm sure you watch Waz's and you know the Transformers Earth Wars stream, and I'm about to show you what this does here in a little bit. So you've definitely got enough information at this point to make an informed decision, and so I'm really, I understand. Fox the Bum, in reference to the whole hat thing, he's like, maybe my shirt next. Now, trust me, y'all don't want to see that. Give me a couple of months, man. I'm starting to get back into I'm starting to get back into some of my training and stuff again, my physical training, doing a little bit of boxing and stuff on the heavy bag and stuff like that. So I mean, give it like 5 6 months, I'll come up here and take my shirt off. Let's see. So Tonyo Surya joined the chat while I was talking. Thanks for joining, Tonyo. And says I didn't know global events existed. They do exist. They They just did one. Ugh, I can't remember. I know one of my historians in the chat will probably give the exact date, time, and everything that it started. But they did one a couple months ago. They don't do them very often. They can be fun. Um, the last time they did one, I didn't like it as much because they did it on a 500K, and typically those are really low threat events. So some people just don't hit them, but it did make some people panic. They was like, "Hey guys, you got to hit the event because we got to get all our community stuff." And I was just like, "No, we don't. Like, this is an entire community thing. This ain't got nothing to do with us." But um, yeah, Friday about six. 12 to 16 hours into the event, people were having these massive freakouts, and I don't like that because A, if you do the math, the event was on pace, and B, like everybody's gonna get their stuff. So, all right. So Blade 19 says 125K points for me. Major rank should be involved, and that's a lot of points. And I don't care if it's mayhem or not. Yeah, I mean, when something is and I'm all for something like ranks. I'm all for it being super super valuable for maybe a year and a half. The problem that I have with ranks is that you got so many bots and the meta's gonna change. And just like the meta just changed with this content patch. So when the meta changes like that and you go move all your stuff, now you're stuck with all the ranks that are now attached to bots that you're not using. So the way I was looking at it is if they put the ranks in with the endurance event, they put all 5 ranks in with the endurance event. Even if they put the point totals up with it, I'd be okay with that because there's a level of consistency that comes with that. I know that in 8 weeks I'll be getting another one, and that's cool with me because consistency is king. When you think about things the way that I do, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, but like even when I made a recommendation for a soccer schedule. That was one of the things that I included in it. And I was like, look, make them a little bit larger, put the majors, put the generals in there. It's not going to destroy the economy of the game because you're not going to get them that often. I mean, you can sell them, and then, some of the top player whales are going to have them. Um, and that's just the nature of the beast. I'm all for them selling stuff as well. The people who want to buy it, I don't always want to buy that shit, but um, so you got your good and your bad, but I do like for it to kind of be an option. And then some people just want to go in and get the bot, and I think you can always find a team that's just going to go get the bot for endurance. So, Brother Concrete, first off, thanks for joining Brody, one of my good friends and members. And he says it's too much money, which a lot of people, we've had these conversations numerous times, but I say I think a lot of people will agree with you. Grim says, yeah, way too much. It's no Titan. I wholeheartedly and a lot of other people agree with you. And speak of the devil, the homie CF joined the chat, fellow content creator, good friend, and one of my members. Thanks for joining, CF. And this is, I told y'all, man, this is where all the content creators coming to hang out. Croto is in the chat, my fellow playtester and fellow content creator as well. Unofficial, but making really, really good content out there. Check him out as well. But thanks for joining Croto. Candyman says TFEW, bring money. Got a couple of money flying away emojis. Yeah, CF is agreeing with me about Triptychon. And that's a good point. Candyman says, glad those prime shards are paying off. Now, I got a thought, and the team didn't say this, so don't go quoting that I said this. But I could see, because we don't have as many uses for prime core shards as we once, as we would like. I think that maybe at some point down the road, it's not going to be today or tomorrow. Um, my prediction is that they do that about a year from now. Let you go get prime core shards and start using them for like some sort of store where you can go and get spark for multiple primes. That's my guess. They didn't say that. I didn't ask, but I could see that happening because we've been complaining for years that we don't have enough to do with that stuff, and they did say that at some point there was something they would do with them. So I think this is that something. See if says Freezius is beating the bag, the game will end. That's an inside one. So it's like, cause there was one stream I was on, and every time, yeah, anytime something there's a minor inconvenience would happen, the community would be like the game is going in. So we always had that inside joke now. All right, so Blade 19 says the problem for me is there are 13 of them, and that's a lot of big events for what is essentially another bot on the field, and you can only use one of them at a time, so it'd be like Titans. So the team did say they just wanted to have a big rollout for this one. Now, me personally, to your point, do I necessarily trust that it's just going to be that big rollout? Nah, I can't say that I do because, so here's the thing, I'm looking at it holistically, right? And we already had the conversation that there were going to be um, multiple primes. So, it's 13 of them in the lore. And we already had the conversation from the last TFEW stream, basically saying that they want to do, not bot and combat for, a couple of events. They want to go do um, Prime and Artifact. So if they do it that way, that's going to go into those large event slots by default. So I don't even think it's practical to not do an event. Now, I don't think they want people to completely miss out on the Prime, which is why the first one is in the campaign, just so you can see how that goes, and then they'll make probably better Primes going down the road. But my level, and it's not that I'm saying, hey, I don't trust the team with everything, with that one particular thing, because I do understand that they got to make money. I'm just not convinced that going down the road those are not going to be large events. I just can't say that with a clear conscience. I would be a fool to do so. So now, I'm not going to say that though. And Blade 19 made a second comment saying, once you have one, is there any point in having the other 12? I don't know for sure yet. I'm going to say yes, because each one's going to have its own unique thing that you can do. I don't think it's going to be like Titans, where it's like, hey, I got one, I'm cool. I think it is going to be unique, and I think they're all going to give the teams different buffs and stuff like that. So, we'll see. Grim Studios is new. And to quote Waza, he said new content. Well, Waza always said it should be better than old content. Grim saying new content is better content. Um, yeah, I mean, ideally, because here's the thing: if you got one and the next one's just alright, people gonna stop going for it. So ideally, they'll start to get a little bit better, not overly better, but better. So we'll see. So he's asking if they Grim is asking if they will get a prime assault mode. So well, let's stop speculating. We'll show you a little bit how it goes. I'm gonna say no. We don't need any more assault modes. The Titan assault mode uh, is boring enough for me. So let's see. So we'll go into the game screen. We'll start talking about the primes. We'll talk about Megatronus Prime. So what we have is I moved the whole screen. That was supposed to be. Oh, that's because I'm on the wrong screen. That would make sense. So what you have here is you have your Prime Lab. So right now it's got up to 5 levels, and I think I grabbed screenshots of the cost. It wasn't overly expensive. I want to say it was probably about the same as a research lab. Um, and then I probably should have took CF actually made a chart of what was going on with Megatronus Prime, and I'm not sure if I had that information. But when I get all the information, I'll share it with you on Discord for sure. So if you're not on there, I leave the link for that in each one of my videos. So make sure you guys check that out. Um, but yeah, it's got up to 5 levels for it, and that's going to allow you to unlock more levels for your Prime. So they gave us the first 5, and we actually got to take a look at some of the. Okay, cool. I was gonna say, where did he go? But we actually gonna take a look at Megatronus Prime. So we got a couple of different abilities up there for him. So he's got the Dark Flame ability, and it says enemies near Megatronus are infused with Dark Energon, reducing their DPS by 6% for 5 seconds. Now, honestly, with it being Megatronus Prime, I almost wish they kind of gave it a fire boosting effect or whatever. And I understand why they wouldn't do that. It would be dope to do that, but you're still in a really heavy fire meta right now. Um, it almost makes me wish that they didn't come out with him first, and maybe bring him out in a time when the fire wasn't completely the meta. But anyway, this is what he does. I'm just on a tangent, and then he's got this passive here called the Prime Landing. It says enter the battlefield from above at light speed, dealing, and in here right now, because I got him at a low level, 149 damage in a small area upon impact. So all in all, it's a support piece. Um, let's take a look at him on just like a regular attack. And you can see they changed, the wallpapers and all kind of stuff to Megatronus Prime. So pretty cool. Candyman asks, when's the wheelie event? Is that gonna be the new thing that you do now, like in place of now that we got Cyclonus? That's what we doing. All right, so I'll just take it on one of these easier bases to start out. So one of the things that you can see here, you can see the two abilities there. Got them at their level 1 for the passive and level 2 for his actual ability. But one of the things you'll notice is you got to charge them up, and I talked about it last week, and they talked about it on the live stream. So you got to destroy some buildings first to get him to even activate. And so they even kind of did an animation where you can see the ability kind of just warming up a little bit as you do it. So um, that said, you probably use them later in the battle. You can see here he took out about half the stuff, and now he's activated. Now take a look at how you can actually have him enter the battlefield, because they show like different ranges for each one of your bots, so you can kind of have him come in and attach himself to an ally, and he just comes in, does a little bit of damage. And I'm gonna zoom in some so you can actually see what he's doing. Ooh. And now he's kind of running away there. Hey, now, like I said, I got him real low level right now. I'm gonna try to take some heat off of him by sending in some stun rockets there. But then he actually got killed. So I want to go put some levels on him, see what happens. So here's the other thing: you gotta actually use them in battle to give them additional XP. So you gotta give them XP, just kind of like you give them a bot to make them a little bit stronger. So DC asked the question: so would the primes be used on base defense as well? Um, so let's take a look, because to my knowledge, no. But it's always worth testing. I didn't even try to really look at that part because I wanted to look at it a little bit more after I actually showed them, because I wanted to show some of the lower levels. But for me, I haven't seen him on defense, so it's supposed to be offensive focus, I believe, support for offense. So this is me against my own base. And honestly, it would be kind of cool to see him on the other side, but nope, doesn't look like it. And I see some comments in there about about everybody's stuff in buildings and stuff in the back. I mean, we'll see. That particular building, um, when you destroy that building, um, right now on playtest they have it as 3 points for destroying the Prime Lab. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. But yep, it looks like it's offense only. And I can't get this thing to deploy. Oh, he did. He deployed already. No wonder I didn't see it. Yeah, and he actually kind of got tore up because I put him in the kill zone. Yeah, CF says each zone has different requirements, number of ability points to activate the prime. And so that's a good point too. So let's actually take a look at that. And I probably should actually, I don't know, like level this dude up some, or give him some ranks, I should say, because levels will take some time. So I want to take a look at what he looks like in the lab. All right, so up here, I got him right now at rank 2. And so this is what your spark is going to be for. So right here, the red symbol, um, so to level him up, you can use 25k in this particular case to take him from 2 to 3. Or you can use for universal spark, which is the blue one here, you could use 62.5k. So I'm going to rank him up and they give you the option of how you want to use. So I don't have Universal Spark. They gave on playtest. They gave us Megatronus Spark, so I can run them up. And so to take them from 2 to 3, it's gonna be, it'll be like a 6 hours of wait time. I'll skip that because it's only 2:37, and you can see that that particular passive went up. The Dark Flame went from 6% to 12% in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and take them to level 5. I'll rank them up again, choose Megatronus Spark. That one is sitting at 24 hours. I'll skip that. That'll move them up to 17%. And then I'll do 100 here. And so this is what they were talking about. They give you that 100 at the end of the event. Well, at the end of the event that they proposed that I was talking about earlier, and that would be enough to take you up to level 5. Now it's supposed to be 10 levels in all, so we'll see how that works. So Andrew Stevenson asked about the metal bundles, and I believe Big Blade was talking about that in the chat earlier. So he actually talked to Callum earlier, and when he talked to him, he said that they were going to do them on Monday, next Monday. Um, they just been doing a lot of other stuff. They've been doing bug fixes. I did put in all the names for anybody who gave me their information, and so it's up to them now. It's up to them to go ahead and put them through. So Callum says Monday. He's a pretty trustworthy guy. So, and here's the thing. So they were talking about earlier that as you continue to go up in rank, now keep in mind that we're starting off with just 5 levels. So I just took them to 6. I'll probably stop at 6 for the time being because, um, we're not going to get 6 right away. But you notice that when you upgraded the passive here, now he's getting an absorption shield. Now he's getting the absorption shield, and now the percentages are going up pretty decent. So now you can reduce DPS by 28% for 5 seconds, and he's going to taunt defenses. So I got the question: does he transform? He does in the showcase, so you can actually see him transform here. I don't think he transforms. Actually, I think when he uses one of his abilities, he transforms briefly, but in the showcase, you can see him, and that's what he looks like in his alt mode. So, but yeah, you still gotta go in there and give him XP to go give him some levels. As I think when I was looking at the video that they had, well, when I was looking at what they showed during the live stream on the battlefield, he'll actually transform when he has his artifact when you get Requiem Blaster. So let's take a look. So if you're in the lower zone, and it does make sense, if you go into, I'm gonna go in zone 4. We'll talk about zone. We'll put them there. And here it says, hey, if you destroy 5 buildings, which honestly, that's probably still too much, then you can do it as compared to having to get 19, like in the prime zone or something like that. So yeah, it scales. It does scale. Yeah, you can see that he's got his little shield now. So I'm gonna try him in a in a different zone. Um, Michael Cooper asked, "What does his weapon add?" So I actually showed that last week because I'm gonna be honest with you, I forgot, and I know one of the other playtesters will probably jump in here only because we don't have it on playtest. So as far as like the artifact, we don't have that yet. We'll probably have it soon. I'll talk about it soon. But oh wait a minute, do we have it? We do have it. I forgot all about that. They gave it to me, and the thing is, they gave us the stuff, and I didn't know how to get to it. That's what it was. But all I had to do was just do that. So we'll take a look at that too. All right, so we got Requiem Blaster now. Let's go take a look at that as the artifact. All right, so it says enter the battlefield from above at light speed, dealing, um, two damage. I think it's supposed to be 2 times damage in a small area upon impact. Proceed to shoot the nearest target for 11 seconds, dealing 1.5 time damage on impact, and then 1.8 fire damage over 8 seconds. And so we'll equip it first, and then later on, you'll be able to upgrade it. So here's the thing. That takes Megatronus Spark too, and it also looks like it's taking Alloy for what we got right now. So hmm, that might be look like that might be a different type of alloy. So I have to ask questions about that now to go see. They got an unequip up here. I don't know why you would unless they're gonna have specific stuff for just primes in general. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a little bit of a change. I see a lot of people saying, well, I see a couple of people saying that. I know. I think Grim was the first one to say it today. People might start doing front-loaded bases for this stuff. I kind of doubt it. I don't think that he's going to have. I don't think that it's going to be something where he's going to have that level of impact that you have to just completely readjust for them yet. I said, yeah, now CF was saying that we get Cybertronian and Alloy MP in play test. Yeah, I said, I know I didn't. Uh, all right, so let's see. So let's destroy some stuff. Get them back out here. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's something new, so it is going to be exciting. Um, I just want to see what the future holds for these guys more than anything, because you do got it does take quite a little bit of effort to get them going, So um, I still gotta build my strategies for him and see how that goes. But here, with him having an absorption shield now, I am kind of curious how that plays out. Ooh, I could not get this Joker to. I keep trying to deploy him. Oh, he is deployed. See, that just looks weird to me, like he's not deployed and he's already out there. But it looks like he's giving a little bit of shield in there. So yeah, okay. So from that aspect, yeah, I could see people wanting to front load, which will be cool because we do need to do some stuff to change up a little bit. So Twilight says, we'll say primes will definitely affect wars and just flat out battles as a whole. Yeah, I mean they can. I think that I'm more curious to see what they do as we go forward, just because I think that they'll continue to improve. I mean, I do like what he does, though. I think that, but I think it's kind of one of those. It kind of falls into the category, kind of like, kind of like how we had combiners, where you're only going to have them for a certain amount of time on the battlefield. But I also got to start building strategies around it. Right now, I'm kind of just playing around, seeing what he can do, and overall, it looks pretty cool. Grim Studios saying, "Hey man, he's saying Freezius is a knife bot." I mean, essentially, yeah, essentially it's a knife bot. So, and one thing I wish they did have, I wish we could use like bot XP on them, like the items. That would be cool. But maybe that'll be something they'll bring out later on. Who knows? But overall, it's looking pretty good, and it's looking like one of those things they didn't really, it wasn't really a whole lot of issues to start out with. As you, okay, yeah, and it looks like the Requiem Blaster, uh, it connects with the special ability there. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So it says here, okay, clearly that's not ready yet. All right, so um, that that's not ready yet, but it says extra ability effect added every 5 levels. So that's something to look at. So I'll probably have to go in there and just spend a little bit of time working with them to see everything. But overall, it's gonna be pretty cool. All right, well, I'm at, once again this prime. So I get what you're saying. Like Blade 19 was saying, it's a ninth bot that you cannot control in battle, basically. And Meat Shield definitely not worth 125k points for. With this first one's gonna be in the campaign. But as far as investing in him, like for me, what really would move the needle for me is like how much effort are we gonna put into this after the fact? After we get all our stuff? Is it going to be one of those things where once, like 2 times a year, they're going to have a Megatronus Prime event? Because, you know, if that's the case, that's going to kind of suck. So I really just want to know the way forward right now more than honestly anything else. Yeah, CF made another good point saying we're hoping that the damage and health get a big boost before release. Um, but honestly, it's kind of hard to, for me, it's hard to gauge because, you know, as you level them up from, this XP standpoint right there, that should be what takes care of that. Um, we just got to actually use them in battle and playtest to go get that to happen. So it could be one of those things when you start to get them in the high levels, then that's when you really get them built up. But I'm honestly not overly I'm not offended by that at all, just because I mean it'll be just like when you get a new bot. I mean, you're getting them out of the campaign. This time, I'm curious how the future one's gonna come out. So, but all right, I'm gonna keep looking into it. I'm gonna keep testing. As I find out more stuff, CF, the other playtesters find out more stuff. Guys like Croto. You know, as we get in there, we'll start talking. I'll start talking about it a little bit more. But I do want to move on and talk about the air class a little bit. Chris Harmon says again, LOL, how long before people whine they clip his nuts? Nah, I mean, I don't think you can really get a lot of complaints out of this one because everybody's getting them for free. So I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's too much to worry about. I mean, it's a new concept, and I think everybody's gonna have to learn their way. I'm learning my way through it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's gonna be too bad. I think the biggest complaints that we're gonna have are gonna be about how the level of effort that it takes to get his ranks up. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's gonna be 13 new campaigns. I think that it's probably like at some point they're gonna have to release this dude in an event, and that's what I think that because I think this time is weird because they are putting them in the campaign. And then one of the things Dale kept saying when we were having the discussion is like, look, man, it's free. You're getting this one for free. Yeah, but I still want to have a decent event that's got decent prizes and not just stuffing a bunch of Megatronus spark at the tail end. I mean, it starts at 25K, so I can't say it's all at the tail end. And they was like, well, you're not going to have them at rank 5 just to use them, which I agree with. But don't just start out putting far out of reach. Now, if people pay for it out of a web store or something like that. Whatever, however they spend their money is how they spend their money. But I don't want to have somebody have an event where people work for stuff and somebody else can just come in there and just it be way out of reach right off bat. Like, I don't know. Nah, Prime's not available on defense. Yeah, somebody asked that one a little bit earlier. All right, so want to talk a little bit about air class bots that I actually like or dislike since the content patch. So I was taking a look around and do it. I thought I had him leveled up. Well, that kind of sucks. All right, so and I'll probably talk about all these individually at some point. But the first one that I was looking at was Guyhawk and Brainstorm. So basically, well, Guyhawk already, before they called it Cryo, he already had um, his ability um, as like kind of a freeze. But now both of them going to have cryo fusion bombs. They changed the visuals. But the biggest thing for me here is they went from 6+3 to 4+3. Um, so it makes them a little bit more cost friendly. And I'm actually gonna. I thought I had him leveled up more than that, so I'm actually gonna hold off on that and show him in a different video. But what I noticed is when they put that nerf on Slipstream, Slipstream is air raid for you guys on the Autobot side, and um, they reduced Slipstream's range a little bit, and it doesn't make her unusable to me, but it makes her a little bit less likely for me to want to use. I always thought that she should have had deeper range because, like, what I wanted to do was pair her up with like Thundercracker, Silverbolt for you guys on the Autobot side. That's what I wanted to do. Just have like really, really long range and just hit some of the stuff in the back. And then to me, it's not overpowered because, um, well, and, they could have bumped up the cost. I mean, I wouldn't have cared, but I wanted that range to kind of match. But they made it shorter, makes her a little bit less desirable for me, only because she's already pretty fragile. So for me, I had her on my war team for a while, but I ain't really like it. But now Guyhawk, who people kept telling me, hey, how come you're not using Guyhawk? And it's because I was using Slipstream. I had got Slipstream first, and she costs less. Well, now she doesn't. So yeah, Michael Cooper's agreeing with me, saying Guyhawk is awesome now. Let's see. Blade 19 still asking. I know we still got like prime questions, so didn't see anything in the Titan tech tree. Like the stuff that I know so far is really the stuff that I showed. So, um, but I do want to make a section. I'm gonna make a section on my Discord for those questions because obviously there's gonna be more questions. I'm gonna continue to have that conversation so that I can go look for some of that stuff. And I meant to do that earlier today, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I just didn't. So I'll try to do that tomorrow. All right. So that was the first one. I do want to come back to that and just to put things in context, um, part of the strategy that I'm using now with the live streams, and I'm talking about different stuff, but I'm talking about stuff in the live streams to kind of talk about what I'm making in the videos a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I had some criticism last week about how I used, I think it was Swindle. Yeah, it was Swindle. And it was saying, somebody was saying, hey, I can't see really how much damage he's doing because you used him in a team. And I was like, well, I've been showing him for like 2 or 3 weeks, you know, and on different videos. So, and I say all that because the quick and easy version a lot of times is going to be on the live stream. The really really detailed stuff is a lot of times going to be on the actual video. But because I didn't show that last week and they wanted to see it, I will show it. But the other part of that is when you use this stuff, you do use it in teams. One of the things that I was showing off, and that particular thing was the range that he has, and his range is, really solid. That was the actual change that they made to the content. And all that said, one of the things that I'm really that concerns me sometimes as a content creator is when we start talking about this stuff, like, are we focusing on that particular topic? Like, when I'm talking about range, are we looking at the range and seeing the value in the range? And I almost wish that we still had the old stuff so we can see the comparison because I don't think it translates well on paper when ranges change. All right, but going back to all the stuff I was saying about the air class. Ooh, the other thing I was looking at, and I know there's a couple of you in here that are huge fans of him, but the other one, and I actually do get him leveled up. I just don't have his ability 11 up here, and I don't know if they took his core away from me. But one thing that we do have Mind White. So I'll upgrade him. Well, actually, we'll take a look at the ability 11 real quick because so one of the things they changed in the patch with him is he get that third bounce with the ability 11. That's huge because he's dominant on defense. But I know like Twilight Tier, that's his I don't know if that's his first love in the game, but it's definitely who he loves right now. And if you hadn't seen it, actually go check out his video using Mind White because he can use them a hell of a lot better than I can. I'll tell you that. Mine's still leveling on the live server. But what'll happen in a lot of times is you'll see. Let me see what kind of layouts I got set up in here because it's easier to show with visuals. That'll work. So with a lot of different designs, one of the things you'll see is there'll be some kind of split somewhere in the middle. And so what a lot of people are doing, oh well shit. I ain't even add all this stuff, but like I'll just use it, hypothetically. Like so somewhere in the middle, a lot of times what you'll see is you'll see somewhere near the back end of the front half, and you'll see somebody deploy or outpost deploy mind wipe in Cosmos, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of protection that you can use for a hack on attack. Actually, let me just back out of here and just cancel this, revert the changes. But what on attack, there's a lot of things you can do for your warriors. Like for example, this Forge of Solus Prime, that's got anti-hack element to it. Um, so you can use multiple hammers. Like for me, like I'll use Liege on a lot of my warrior class bots, but it kind of leaves a lot of times your gunners and your air class at a little bit of a disadvantage when you looking at them defensively. But I do like I think he's great on defense. I think it makes you think a little bit, especially if somebody still has Computron or Lyle Kaiser in the back half. Now you got to think about getting sacked, getting hacked twice. And so the result for that, at least I know in my Alliance family, one of the things people are doing is, now there's a lot of sack going on. Um, sacrificing like usually dead end and cup just to avoid some of this hacking that's going to take place. Because if you got your warriors getting fed all the anti-hack stuff, the problem that you then run into is you run into the problem of those hacks are going to go directly towards your gunners, your healers, stuff like that. But and he was already pretty good. But when they added that third bounce, so say you build a team like I built, where I got three warriors, pretty much doing anti-hack. Um, by default, that goes to the rest of my team. So if all three, bludgeon, rod, you, and exhaust, all have anti-hack in some capacity, then now I've got my air class and my my two gunners and hook, all of whom I don't want to get hacked and die early. So yeah, he's good for that. A lot of people have started to use um, overload and demolisher just to kind of stop him when he's on defense, and then later on they don't have to like deploy a combiner or something like that. So, but he's on my list of good bots there. See, this is exactly what I was talking about, Grim. We not talking about that. We talking about air class right now. No, wait till I get to the one about special class. Nah, Grim said I need to show Onslaught. Like, he was in there showing me some videos of him using Onslaught earlier. And I definitely I want to follow up to what it was you were talking about too, to see what it looks like on my end. But yeah, it'll be a time for that, not a problem. But yeah, with mind wipe solid. I love mind wipe and Cosmos on defense and the impact that it's had on the meta. Hey, and I see Shock Bomb 28 join. Thanks for joining. So yeah, that's what we looking at. Let's see who else. Another one that I was looking at that actually got a little bit of attention is Blastoff and Firefly. And so what I might start doing is start talking about some of these bots. Actually, not him. Him. So what I might start doing is talking about some of these guys individually in some videos and stuff like that. But with the G1 for Blastoff, which I do have equipped, um, the duration of the shielding increased. Let's see. Yeah, it went up to 6 seconds. I think it was 4 at first, so it has a damage reduction shield. And the other thing is they kind of enhanced the area effect. So the area effect was at like 50%. Now is now it's at 100%. And so then it does stuff like that. So whereas before my cursor's stuck. Um, whereas before, you know, it used to be way back in the day single target. Then they made it single target with like 50%. Uh, to the area to surrounding targets. But now you can see those two huge chunks that I took out of there. Granted, it's a weaker base. Um, you know, that's what he's doing. So I want to dig into that a little bit more because I consider that to be uh, one of the better upgrades to come out of the air class. I mean, it's cool because this is a bot. This is what I actually liked about the balance patch because this is a bot that I'm pretty sure I have maxed out because he used to be on my war team and stuff like that. So, this is what I've been saying this entire time about the content patch. Don't be afraid to use this stuff because a lot of this stuff is stuff that you already have. So for me, it makes it a little bit easier to navigate. And so, all right, let me go check the chat because I am about to get off of here soon. I want to go watch the NFL. And CF actually made a good point about Blastoff saying that he's good to come to use with Slipstream and Air Raid as well, which I actually have done that before. It's been some years, but now with what we get, um, yeah, now I definitely can see that, especially if you put it, I can see him putting doing a couple of things. So I could see using it on the outside edge so you have a chain reaction, but I also could see you um, say it's something like I'm thinking in my head like say there's like a shielded cluster or something like that where a lot of people will put their build bots in the shield. I could see a situation where you would go in there and use blast off and just so you can get the extra damage you can get like you know AoE and then a secondary explosion around that. So I could see that working well a couple of ways. Grim says so. Blastoff stole Skywarp Night Raven's job. Yeah, I mean, and especially since Skywarp Night Raven just came out, you could say that. All right, so Soldier said, "Nah, there's nothing to watch because the Bills are going to win." I mean, yeah, they are, but I'm also playing their defense in fantasy tonight, so um, I mean, I'm a huge NFL fan anyway. I'm gonna watch it no matter what. But um, I actually want to do see how their defense performs because I'm gonna be honest with you, Miami been playing like some butt. So, and I don't know when they gonna get it back together. I was watching ESPN the other day and they were talking about, um, they talking about is the coach gonna get fired, which is crazy because it wasn't but like 2 years ago that they were talking about him like he was the greatest coach in the world. So I don't know, we'll see. But all right, guys, I am going to go ahead and call it a night. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to get more content out here about Megatronus Prime, and I'm going to definitely look at it a little bit harder on my end so that I can, you know, have more information for you. But bro, I'll see y'all next week, and I'll see y'all on the battlefield. Freezius out.